on. No, the room is made. We got 3 out of 4 people here.
No,
All's the token
lied.
Chinaman.
Lied again. It's the second time you lied.
No, I'm live.
That's our word, Jay.
Now you're live.
Oh, I mean,
Fucking lying.
Chinaman?
look, it's not my fault. Your weak ass internet can't connect fast enough.
You know what? You know what? Just for that,
No.
I don't want to play.
No.
I don't want to fucking play.
No.
I'm throwing.
Yeah, I quit.
I'm fucking throwing.
Baby, no. First, hey, what up, Jay? Wait, if Jay's over there and Jay's over here, then who's the real Jay?
There's my new name for you.
Built to shoot us
I
both.
see it. I didn't see the Howie _ Belter. Oh, with a PH. Okay. There you are.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Dude, I had to like process that when I heard it. I was like, nice. How can you be first when I'm first? Oh shit.
Your boy's
got a
less
point.
paint and maybe you'll be a little faster.
Your boy has a point. He might be first here. Also, who are we missing?
We're missing someone?
Yeah, we only have 3 out of 4 people in the
Oh,
room.
it's probably me. Do we actually have the room now?
Yeah, I told you I wasn't lying. It's called Meep.
Nice.
Oh, it is called me. I'm joining.
And the password's the same as usual.
Aw-tee.
Oh
Could
shit,
you-
what up,
could you
what up,
say
what
it?
up, Shoddy? How you
Just
doing?
so I know.
8008. Boob.
Boob. Nice.
Shoddy,
I'll
where the
be
fuck
like
you
me
been?
and try to spell it with a 3.
Oh, that'd be funny. Or we could do a dick where it's like 3 or an 8 and then =, capital D.
It's getting too complicated.
Not really.
Buddy, I want you to know on the Twitch recap, you are my most loyal viewer. So you're my favorite now.
Who?
Audie Pop.
Oh, nice.
How does
Everyone
that even
here-
work? I don't think I've ever missed any of your streams.
You have.
Your boy is
only
my...
Audie caught all my streams. Your boy was my number 2.
Yeah, your boy's my number 1. I told you I was sleeping when I don't have stuff going on. Okay, okay. Did
I don't wanna
everyone
hurt
hear
feelings.
that the IRS now has to watch OnlyFans content to make sure certain videos follow the guidelines? Or the no tag on tips bill. That sounds made up, but it's true. Huh.
Oh man, I should apply to work for the IRS. Like, I'll be the guy that watches OnlyFans videos all day.
I mean, 401k, vacation, all the porn you can watch.
Oh, you're all here. All right,
I might even fucking sign up.
Can you imagine being the
He
low
was
man on the
number
totem
1.
pole in the Watch OnlyFans team where they're like, you got all the fat old guys.
yeah, you get the fatter
yeah.
and showing their feet.
you get the meat spin and one guy, one jar.
It's just a
that.
grainy video, a sweaty fat old guy.
I mean, I watch
Dude
that for
just
free
pissed on
already.
himself.
Alright, I'm gonna start game. I think this
Yeah,
is the
we're
right
just gonna-
scenario.
Have some classy commentary for your stream today, Joey.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
All right. Just remember, I'm a doctor, so protect me.
Remember, I'm a white guy with a gun. I'm ready to shoot.
Don't come to school tomorrow.
I mean, you guys are cool. Don't come to school.
Zombies? Hey, I've been there before.
Shit, I got home turf. Let's go.
I heard
It's a map
about.
of this place back when it was an art museum.
You guys will figure it out. I know the gimmick of this
Should be a
level,
ventilation
and I'm not looking forward to it, but it's
Can that
okay.
get us out of here?
Hey, is that what's his nuts? Or is it just some other black cop?
That's the black cop.
So
Nah.
That's the only
Nice.
black cop.
Yeah, I think it is actually. It's the token black.
Because Joey's character is the security
All
guard.
right, everyone.
Yeah.
We gotta hurry up and.
I mean, this was the 90s. You were allowed to recognize that only like 10% of the population was black. You didn't have to have a bunch of black people in everything.
All right, we got him started.
Where did we lose our way?
I mean, it is dumb.
Minimalism. That was the
Ooh.
beginning.
Ooh.
What the hell? Are we all split up? I better not die.
I'm in the lobby.
I'm in some hallway.
I found a gas neutralizing canister. I'm gonna take it.
Please take it. I know exactly what that's for.
Neutralizing gas?
A gun.
That's what
How'd
I
you
think it's
know?
for.
Neutralizing gas. That's what I get when I eat Taco Bell.
Hey, I got some too.
You could do better, Jay.
I know, but
There's
do I
a gun
want to?
here. There's paperwork on this desk. Will you read it now? Police notice. Attention all officers and staff. In response to the increasing crime rate in the city, the station's security system has been upgraded. This will help not only us, but also law-abiding raccoon citizens. Starting this month, our focus will be on riot suppression. Nerve
Joey
gas.
has to read.
Nerve gas canisters have been prepared. Additionally, sensors to check ID tags will be implemented to permit entry only to those authorized. The sensors are sensitive and will likely require frequent adjustment. Please be certain to use this new equipment. Oh, you're a zombie already? Nice.
There, like literally, I walked through a door and one tried to grab me the second I walked through.
Get him! Get him! Get him! Just follow the police instructions. Everything will be fine. Is it because I'm a civilian? They've taken.
Why are there so many
control-
fucking zombies up here? I'm a doctor, damn it.
Hey, I found the combination safe. But I can't get it open.
I was to say, do you know the combination?
No.
Gas neutralizing canister. Gotti.
Rooftop. On the roof?
Oh
How do I
man.
get to the roof?
I don't know.
I'm in the basement.
Hey, I found a guy. Wait, is that an NPC or one of you guys? Oh, I got an NPC.
Nice. Survivor.
Oh shit! This is. Oh no!
I'm on my way to fight the liquor. Oh shit, there's a guy here too. And there's ammo. Fuck yeah. Yas. There's a policeman over here. We can read it now.
I'm
This
literally
is-
gonna die to a zombie like right now.
Oh,
This
they,
is different.
are you on the second floor STARS office, Cyber? You said you found the combination? I have the,
No, I'm coming down some stairs now.
The
No,
roof literally is
no.
on fire, you boy, and
Where-
yeah, I am gonna have to let it burn.
where the safe was.
E1F.
I might. Is it 1F? Okay, I have the one on 2F. Oh,
Wait,
1F?
Joey, did you say that
Wait.
if I find a gas neutralizing
I'm
canister, I
saying
should
I'm
take
in
it?
E1F.
Yeah,
I don't know
keep-
what
keep-
room. Oh fuck!
Keep,
it's
keep at
zombies.
least
That
one
scared
on
me.
you. All right, hold on, guys. Okay, so first of all, where was the safe? Because I have the combination.
I don't know. I'm going back towards it.
Okay, and was it the first floor or the second floor? Do you remember?
I don't know. I'm going
Okay.
back to it.
All right.
Hey, can you come save me?
I don't know where I am or where you. Oh, I know where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are.
Wait, is this room full of freaking gas?
Yes.
Wait, did anybody else see that quantum?
Yeah.
East office?
Did you see it
That
yet?
was amazing.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay. Yeah, I
No.
made it.
Joey, I'm in the East office.
What floor?
It just says East office.
All right. Well, try this. Try 2239. Sorry,
It won't let
2236.
me. It
Oh,
won't let
really?
me.
Oh,
It just
I
says a
have to do
combination
it.
for it.
Okay, well, if I find it, we'll go ahead and do that. Simple lock. Fuck.
Figured out the gas thing. It makes sense now. Will that room stay clear now that I've dropped one in there?
I actually don't know that. I don't know if it's temporary or not. He was number one.
Oh wait, I'm in the lobby now.
Okay, I'm about to enter the lobby
Fuck
right
off,
now.
bro.
Oh fuck! Zombie scared me.
There's
There's
NBC cops around shooting guys. That's cool.
Hey, wait. There's a
You talking
person
about in the
here.
game, or
There's a
just-
cyber on this room in the main hall.
I made it to the wait, East office. Is that where you were, Cyber?
Hallway. That's where I
Shit.
was.
I just
I'm
made
gonna
it to
go this
East
way.
office.
I'm gonna go this. Oh, actually, isn't there a door
Oh
over here?
god!
We'll go to the library.
All right, I know where I am now. I know this place.
Well, can
Get
you
off
come
of
save me then?
Well, I don't know where you are.
Yeah, we have no info.
Underground parking garage.
Oh, jeez.
I actually do know where you are.
You do? Nice. I think I know where that is too. I'm on my way.
I'm actually pretty close to you in the East office. Unless the doors are locked, I'll head that way.
It could
I just
be
made it to where Joey is in the first or close. I could go into where Joey is now, according to
hall.
his stream.
Yeah.
If you turn left there, you'll run into me.
It could be more realistic when the cops go around shooting people. They could turn their body cams off. Nice.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Hey, here comes Joey. What up?
What's up, pimp? How you doing? And we just dap.
I'm out of ammo. I just came from in there.
Oh, that sucks. Well, I'll lead the way. I picked up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, there's ammo right here, dude.
where we're
There's ammo
going.
right there.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I can't. I'll have to drop,
Drop-
something.
Drop. You're a doctor. Drop the healing. No, I was kidding. I don't know. Fuck. Our inventory is so limited. If they gave us 6, this game would be so much fucking better.
I am gonna drop the healing. Screw that. I want bullets.
Yeah. First you get the bullets, then you get the healing, then you get the power.
Oh shit! Hey, Cyber.
Oh,
That scared me.
Did he just pop out the door? Oh wait,
Yeah.
I'm going with you.
You coming back in this room?
All right. Well,
Whatever door you just went
Paul
There's more ammo
is
in
not too far away
there's
from
more.
us.
There's more ammo in here.
I dropped that.
Okay. Maybe.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you should, because I have 75 plus the 15 in my gun plus the 15 in my clip, so I'm good for now.
Damn.
This is where a zombie attacked me. Scared the fuck out
There's a
of me.
red herb right here. This is the interrogation, but the fucking. Is it in this door? Is this where the garage entrance is?
I think so, isn't it?
There's an
It's
extension.
closed tightly from the opposite side. Damn it.
Oh, I think Paul, you might have to
Yeah,
leave
you might
before
have
we
to.
can
You
get
might
to you.
have to come to us.
I don't know how to do
We
that.
might be able to do it via the second floor, but I'm gonna clear this out first. Also, you said save you. Oh shit. I got it.
I have one.
I got it. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Oh, what is that?
You doing it?
You're doing it, happy.
Amethyst plate.
There's handgun
I got
rounds up here if
more.
somebody needs it.
Sure, I'll take more.
Yeah, how much you got?
Now I have much. I have 80 plus the 13 in my gun.
Okay. Amethyst plate. Oh, you got one, Cyber? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
I'll hold on to it just in case, but it's the first thing I'm trading if I need to. Y'all could
You guys
chest
just
bump
map
and touch tips when you
Duck
see each other.
balls.
I don't know, man. Now that we're on easy, when you're on easy, this game throws so much freaking ammo at you. That's like the biggest difference.
It doesn't go to that.
Where are you
All right.
guys?
Did you make it to the first floor?
I'm on the lobby.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I'll head to you.
Yeah, the main hall.
Yeah, you're not.
I don't know. It says
He's
first floor lobby.
I think I know right where he is. Just stay
where he
put.
is. The lobby is where you see the liquor in the window, right?
No, he's like one room over from us where we came from. Yep, there you are. All right, he said it in. Yeah.
I'm in the hallway.
Hell yeah.
We just traded.
Oh.
Oh wait, there's someone behind me.
It's me.
Okay.
But they just went back this way.
But we're going to the second floor. You think we should? Like, you want to try that ladder in the main hall?
Sure.
I mean, okay.
I don't know. You guys want to go? Cause on the other side of the west wing,
That's not Jay. That's a zombie.
Well,
Wait.
why didn't you follow me?
Wait,
We went
what
back
the
through the
I
door.
tried to. A zombie came through that door.
you don't have to
instead of
kill
you.
him. You don't have to kill. Oh, he's in the way. Here, I'm coming. I swear to God, if he...
You guys are just gonna walk through
Oh.
each other again. I'm just waiting here.
Is he leaving?
Fucked me up.
Are you leaving? Okay, I'm helping. Also, we have healing here.
Paul, you need to stop sucking.
I'm leaving.
We got him. Where you at, Paul?
I left.
Ladies and gentlemen,
door.
we got him.
Are you Oh, nice.
Are you injured, Paul? Damn you.
Not anymore.
Oh no, you're good. Okay. Oh, I forgot you're that girl with so much
Yeah.
space.
Oh, are you
Nice.
Yoko? Fuck yeah, dude.
Hey, I dropped some healing right over here. Oh, maybe you already picked it up.
And there's a gas
Yeah, I bet you
canister.
did.
Pick.
I gotta-
yeah.
What do I use these for?
So
If you're in a
gonna
room
hear-
with gas, just use them.
you're gonna hear a
like-
warning, and then
Every
fucking.
room has
Oh, what's in the
gas,
newsroom? Have you guys been in the newsroom?
No, I haven't.
I'm going.
You would.
Or the east office. Which I think there's
Hey, I would use-
there's a chest in here, isn't there? Or not?
I'm
not
gonna wander
chest.
off by myself and get attacked by zombies and get mad at you guys for not saving me.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's my go-to move. Why don't you just let me do my thing?
A sketch of the map. We
Oh
memorized
yeah,
it
this
now.
Joey. This was the safe.
Yeah, I got the combination. Just one second, let me grab this.
Does,
Actually,
Oh,
does
I found
everybody
a-
have a gun?
I found a black guy. Should I call the police?
Does anyone need a gun?
I start with one, so I'm good.
I'll pick it up. Because I'm almost out of ammo.
It is either 3-3. Fuck, what was it? File.
Nerve gas. Chief Irons. Why would Chief Irons leave
2-2-3-6.
helpful information?
Alright, I'm going down to the basement.
Oh, I thought we were going to the second floor.
I thought we were going together.
That's cool. We can split up. There's no reason to stick together.
Alright, I opened the safe. You have the amethyst, right? I have onyx plate, which is the same thing. So you have the amethyst plate. I have the onyx plate, and I think those go to the fucking. Hold on, there's a memo on the desk. Will you read it now?
Do you combine them?
I don't think so. We probably put it in something. This police station was originally used as an art museum. Yeah, we know. Chief Irons. Yeah, we know. And there's always the main hall with the statue in it. It used to be the main exhibition space, and there was probably a way to move large pieces in and out. Perhaps it still works. It might be worth checking out. Of course, if we trust stars. No, forget it.
Someone
There's no
grabbed the
use.
ruby plate already, right?
The ruby?
Hey, what's the code for Gene's desk?
Yeah.
Ruby? No. Gene's
Okay.
desk? I don't have that. Is that in the same room?
Yeah, I literally just found a desk that has a combination code.
Let me check. No, I don't think this is it. Oh, there's a zombie coming in. Let me fuck him up.
I got the ruby plate.
You got ruby? Okay, nice. We have amethyst, ruby, and onyx. All right.
What we doing?
I'm gonna go back to the main hall because I think it goes in that statue, but I'm not sure. I'm going off my knowledge of the remake. Oh, there's ammo here. Mine. Mine.
Yeah, the
Good.
desk is right here.
Good movie. I don't have the combination for that.
1998.
Not in 4-2. All right, what
That
is
did not
this way? What's over here? Uh-oh.
That's the basement area I was talking about.
Okay, I don't need to go in there. I'm gonna go to the main hall and see if the onyx thing works on that.
And take the unicorn medal out of the statue thing.
Oh, fuck. Where
That
we
feels
put that?
backwards.
Yeah. I went back in, Cyber. You been in there before,
Okay.
though? Or is that where Paul came from?
No. I don't know.
All right. So there's a round indentation. Oh wait, I bet that you're right. That this is where the plates go. Yeah.
Okay.
We need more plates. I put my plate
who
in.
else has one? Cyber, right?
Oh, I'm coming back. I'm
Okay,
coming
okay.
back then.
Tight. You put all this place together,
just
does it summon
follow
something
it.
like those kids in Captain Planet with
Captain
their rings
Planet?
together? Nice. Oh, this way. Oops. It's cool. This is like the first time since 2 came out you would have seen like a higher res version of the 2 station, you know?
Yeah. I always appreciate returning to the station. It is the best Resident Evil location.
Baker stays up there for me too.
Hey, how'd you guys get there?
The upstairs, there's a ladder. Oh, there's more. Fuck. I thought there was only 3. No, there's 5.
Yeah, there's definitely more. All right, the library door is locked. It won't budge.
Are you upstairs? You are.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll meet you up there.
There's nowhere else to go up here. The other way, it's blocked off, and the only thing that was in there was the ruby plate. So
Okay,
there's no reason to be upstairs right now.
We can go, I guess, back this way?
Yeah, we gotta get up to the library. I took the unicorn medal, so I imagine we can plug that into something to unlock a door somewhere.
Probably. I'll look
Is
up.
this locked? Have we been in here?
I'm going back to
Tightly
where
closed.
I think I left Cyber.
I'm headed towards the liquor hallway. See what's back there.
It's locked on the first
Oh, really?
floor.
I like
Yeah.
liquor. I'm
It's
going
like-
with
Yeah, you guys go. But it's locked on that side, if I remember correctly. Oh shit, there's... Fuck, it's poison in here.
Jeez.
Holy shit, it makes your fucking infection rate go hella fast.
Yeah, it does.
dude.
You gotta drop that stuff pretty quick.
Oh man.
Oh wait, second floor stars office 2236.
Are there any more of those?
Wait, what the fuck?
Those gas things? I kinda
Second
need
floor
one.
stars office. Oh, so the first floor east office is 2236.
Yeah, we opened that one already.
Okay, you did. Cool.
I found another safe.
5632.
Yeah, I have the combination, but you can't put it in because you haven't seen the document.
Is this the door that he said was locked? It is locked. Joey's not a liar. For once.
Are you sure?
I like when you call me out for not streaming. You're like, are you streaming tonight? Or are you a liar? All right, I'm on the first floor. I'm well armed. Going this way.
Alright.
Was that
Hey,
you, George?
let's follow him.
It's my favorite
Oh, wait a
pastime.
minute. There is one
Follow the
more
black
upstairs
guy.
door I don't think I've checked.
Oh,
I think
you can go check that out if you want. I think I'll be okay. Unless there's liquors, then I
Too
might
late.
die.
Following Joey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm good up here. Wait, maybe it's... I might be wrong, actually. Oh, there's only one door on that side. Never mind. I did check that door.
The gas stopped. The gas stopped. This room was like super full of gas when I last checked it, and then went back for one of those. What are they called? The gas canister. Yeah, gas neutralizing canister. Oh, another Zambo's coming. I think that's where I'm going. I'm away from the coming. Hello.
Somehow I'm at the rooftop.
Somehow Palpatine has returned.
Oh, I know. That's where I came from. I was over there earlier.
Are you looking at my stream?
That's where
Is there anything worthwhile
That's like
in
where
there?
I started.
Let's do this like real cops.
I'm
Get your
talking
guns.
about Cyber Lycan. I was on the
Fire.
rooftop earlier. You're actually going where I was heading. I came from right behind you is where I started, but I haven't been through this door.
That was fun. Oh shit, he's alive.
Aw, shit.
Damn, brother.
So
Alright.
I think I'm on my time of the month because I clutch my belly all the time, even when I'm not
Yeah,
bleeding.
you're grabbing your fupa.
2 weeks from retirement.
Are you injured? Is that what that is?
No, I'm fine. It's just bloated. That's all.
That's what women always say. I'm fine.
Do what you want.
It's like, hey, you know, we want this to work out. We just have to make sure that we're communicating, you know?
Hey, look,
Yes,
it's
yes.
B90 Reborn.
And then you'd be like, babe, what's wrong? And then it's like, nothing. Just turns over.
Do you have an alternate called like B90 Stillborn?
Hey, what up, B90? This guy. What a mess. Nothing useful here, but it's blinking. Alright, I guess not. Can I open these lockers? See.
Oh, no,
course.
more neutralizing.
B90
Where am
says,
I going to
of
use
course.
this unicorn
Kevin
thing?
Ryman. You're not here, but I found your locker. You might be able to
I'm gonna
open
go
it.
in
I
this
don't know- I
locker.
don't know if that's a thing or not. There's a pipe in there. They got some blue herbs.
You know, it's kind of nice not having a crazy old guy with an axe chasing us around.
Yeah, and I think maybe on this difficulty, the gas just isn't that bad. Because I only counted it
And we are
twice.
playing on baby mode.
Yeah,
Kind
well,
of
you
sad.
said you were down. You said because you were
I
half
thought
awake.
it would be harder, but it's still like there's 4 zombies and you have
Yeah.
unlimited ammo on easy.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
gap
fair,
is
that's
really
fair.
big. The gap is huge.
Yeah, a little bit. It'd be cool if I could just bump it up mid gameplay.
Oh no, I don't have a. Does anyone have a gas thing?
I do. I'm loading in. I'll drop it right now. But leave
It's
if you have
killing
to.
me so fast.
Oh wait, it's
thank
going
you.
away. It's going away. I didn't even get to
Yeah.
use it. That's awesome. Oh wait,
Dude, I'm at 35% infection now.
yeah, dude. I'm like, honestly, maybe the difficulty's fine.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem with this one.
Oh, this is
It
zombie.
gets you real quick.
I'm going in here. You bitch.
Fuck.
Oh,
shit.
shit.
Shit. I found a basement map. Shotgun rounds, but I don't have a shotgun.
Stay down.
Got him.
Oh, let me
All
combine.
right. Oh, I do. I have a gas neutralizing canister on me, and I just didn't remember that I did. Damn it.
Fucking idiot.
Oh. Release the
I'm so
Gatora.
mad.
Ooh.
Ooh, child.
Release the gators. Release the Kraken.
What does a recovery medicine base do?
Well, there's zombies in here.
Probably
What is this on the
allows
floor?
you to make recovery medicine.
Recovery
I found
base.
Jay.
What up?
Oh, you bitch.
There's like 4 zombies here. How do you keep getting hit?
Oh shit.
He's hiding in the vent. Yeah, see, it's not just me.
Actually, hold on. Can you try
Yeah,
getting
but Joey's bad at video games, dude.
it? I'm all right. Cause like if you try to get it, and then there's a healing spray in the hall. But if you,
Yeah,
if
you get it.
Well, if you get it, I can shoot it because I'll have a lot of ammo.
Yeah, he can
Like
get it.
Go get this. Go get it. And you don't have as many inventory spaces.
No smoking in the
Stuck on
garage.
aim. Oh wait, no,
Why-
I'm not.
This is
stuck on aim.
1998. Ain't no garage have a no smoking rule.
Right?
An emerald
Oh
plate.
shit.
You got
Oh,
it?
it's gas. It's gas.
Oh,
got
I
it?
have a
I got
thing,
it.
but there's a zombie on me.
Emerald plate.
You have it, right?
Let me double check.
No,
No,
you
I don't have it.
All right, here.
Why don't I have it?
I need you to get it. I'll keep
Oh,
trying to shoot. I'm
God.
sorry. I fucked up.
That sucked.
I gotta drop something.
Now with a simple lock. Oh, it says
Actually,
it looks fragile. We can break this one, I think.
Here.
I remember how.
You don't
like,
have
how
to be
do
on
you-
top of it to grab it, Paul. You can stand where I'm at and then do it.
That's what she said.
Nice. Nice.
Break, you piece of shit door.
Sweet. Oh shit. Here. Wait for him to get up. Get up, boy. That's teamwork. Oh shit. We can just go. Oh shit.
Why are these doors so hard to break?
Oh, you have 2 clips. You only need 2.
What if I use all one though?
You can reload it. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is this working?
Ah!
No. Oh no, the gas.
I don't have any. I don't have another canister. Dude, I'm over 50% infected.
Damn. Yeah, get out. It's not worth it being in there. Just book it.
Fuck. I'm going in here. That's when I started saying smoking is bad. I mean, we knew it was bad by then, but you could still smoke everywhere then.
Paul, outside of here and then to your right,
Yeah, you used to be able to smoke on planes.
I left a healing spray for you if you need it.
What's up, dog?
Oh, okay, I just used one of those herbs that was in there, so I'm fine. But
Okay, that's good.
I'll probably pick it up. That's better.
It's this way if you want one. Yeah, it's a full heal. I don't know if it does anything with poison.
All this guy says is I dropped something. That's so helpful, bro. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have another gem. Let's go drop that off, I guess. Is it this way? Is it?
He,
Oh,
looked,
shit.
he thought he was a zombie. Thought he was a zombie.
Your run is way cooler than mine.
My run? I just look like a tired old like diabetic.
Just like real
now
life.
you're talking shit about diabetics too.
And olds. He got you on 2 counts.
All right, Jay, let's try to break this door again real fast.
Oh
Easy,
god,
easy
it's gonna
run.
gas us again.
Oh yeah, you have like the Yuna from fucking 10-2 run.
Yeah, shoot it. Shoot it. Is that working?
Ammo.
Remember way back in the day when I made that diabetic joke? I didn't mean it.
I heard everyone that's diabetic is retarded. Yes!
Oh no, kennel. Oh no, and I'm out of ammo.
As long as there's no gas. I have a shitload of ammo. I could share some, but I don't think I will. Go fight those dogs for me while I reload.
Hey, watch out for all those zombies, by the way.
Yeah, I noticed. I was sandwiched between them. Thanks for the heads up.
Here, puppy. Oh shit! There's 2 of them.
I was like, this place looks dangerous. I'm getting the fuck
You
out
just
of here.
left. I was hoping, because I heard the zombie and then I saw the girl. I was like, oh, he left
What's with
already.
the aiming in this? My controller feels broken. I can't look down. When I press down, he's turning.
Really?
Yeah, that was weird.
It is weird.
There's a window zombie over there.
Wait, Yoko, where are you?
Here, I'll drop some ammo now. After
Oh, you
I...
have to come back to the main hall. I don't know where you're at.
Dog.
Because we need
Reloading.
that jade stone slab thingy.
I'm in the witness interrogation room.
I think I know where you're at.
I was
Wait,
kicking it.
Right, how do I... Can I split my ammo?
we need way more of these. Damn it.
Is there a way to split ammo? I have 80. I don't want to give you all 80.
I actually don't think
Wait,
you can.
do we need an amethyst plate?
No,
Well,
we have
whatever.
amethyst and we have
Yeah, I have amethyst on me.
No, what was the other one?
Take this and fill your
Onyx.
clip and your gun, and then give me back what's left if you don't
We
mind.
did amethyst
I
and
have
onyx. You have
emerald,
jade.
and there's
Oh, emerald. Okay.
amethyst is in here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have
got it
amethyst
off
and
Sonic.
onyx. I'm gonna try to find you. Where you at, dog? Actually, are you in the? You said you're in the witness room.
I was. I just left it.
Oops. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh shit!
think
more
you're.
Do I have
zombies.
space for that? I don't want to
you
drop.
got me.
Oh, yeah, your thing. Here you go.
I don't know where you are.
And I'll grab that gas can.
Think I went the right way. Hallway. I'm in hallway now.
Was
I
that
think the
another clip over
hallway-
here? If you have space, there's another clip that might be full. I don't know if it's full or not.
Oh, there you are.
On the shelf there.
No, I tried
You
grabbing
should
it.
use that spray.
It let me grab it.
Yeah, I just didn't want her to eat me.
I just
Oh,
didn't
that's
take
fair.
it, but it let me grab it and look at it.
Why is there so many zombies out there?
Because it's a zombie outbreak. Silly goose.
Damn it.
Fine.
Dude, what the hell's the point of this room?
Hold on, I'll be right there.
We did all that shit to get in here, and there's like not really. Oh, what about this? Can we open this? I mean, in the game, you go through this
This is
manhole,
where
right?
I
In the
go,
actual
right.
game, but it doesn't look like we can interact with it.
Is there a mod that makes it where you have proximity chat? Oh, probably, but I wouldn't do that. Like,
I guess it's just health and stuff. You know what? I'm gonna take some of this. I'm a little.
I would hate this game.
I guess a green herb will do. I'm in caution.
if we had
I'd
no
like
way
to
to
heal.
chat.
You grab whichever one.
All right, I'll take the good one then.
Goes here. I'm at 40%, guys. Dang.
I'm over 50. I'm scared.
I'm at 33.43, 45, 46.
All right, well,
47.
there's still more we can explore down here if you want to keep trying.
Look at the map here. I think that we've basically
Also,
explored the
how
basement.
Much ammo do you have,
I think-
Paul?
I have a little bit. I have like 20 rounds or something.
You do? Okay. Do you want to refill one of your clips?
Uh,
Or both? Refill. You can
there
refill
we
both.
go.
Because I have 67 rounds on me.
Hell out of this shit.
No, I'll just wait till
Yeah,
I use
get out of there
this
before
clip and then
gas.
drop a clip, and then I'll ask you for ammo.
Okay.
Because I don't really want to carry 2 clips.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, yeah. The fact that you have 2. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Maybe we missed something in here. Like maybe we push a car or something. I don't know. What is this?
Man, I cannot imagine playing this game without chat.
Emergency orders A operation map. Content: set bomb in town square and set barricades.
I think it was actually through here that we're gonna go.
Thank you.
Oh, right here, Jay.
Did you call you daddy?
Did you get
or
cyber-
fatty?
No, but it's his birthday on Friday. I told you to get cyberspace.
Oh, you found it. Oh, look at that. Nice.
I got him this dick.
What?
I got him this dick for his birthday.
Don't tell your wife I said hi.
Oh shit!
Hold
I
on.
got it. You get another one. Another one.
Oh, we
And
gonna see
another
Chicken Vickers get killed out here?
Hey, I know where we are. Hey,
Yeah,
we're in the
outside.
front yard.
I don't think I fully explored this way.
Have you
Very
fully
juicy
explored these
stairwell.
nuts?
Not yet.
Nice.
That's pretty good though. Fuck you. That was funny. Ah. Oh, nice, dude. Holy shit, you got that bird. That bird up.
Miss. The zombies are everywhere. Leaving would be suicide. Hey, don't you mean leaving would be self-deletion or something?
Unaliving.
It's like the people that made this game don't even know how to TikTok.
These are tick-tarded.
Look at all these herbs for you, Jay.
Yeah, I don't need
Shit.
friggin' space.
Stay down.
Good job.
Uh-oh.
A knife? No, thank you.
All right, I'll be right
can go
there.
right through the front.
Yeah, all right. Well, we didn't really find jack shit that's actually helpful on
We're
that
looking
little
in the
adventure.
second floor east hall right now.
We just did a big circle and ended up back in the main lobby.
Like the plane, or not the plane, the helicopter would hit. That's where
There's
we're
a
at.
there's a
Yeah,
zombie over there.
that's back where I kind of started the whole game. I can head that way. I know how to get there.
We just need one more.
There could
see
be
it.
something back where Joey and Paul are. I didn't explore that carefully. I was just trying to find everyone else at the time.
Oh my god,
There's something
die.
up there.
Shit. Uh-oh.
Jojo, it was me.
I like when the Dio shows up, the first thing this cold motherfucker does is just kick the shit out of his dog. I was like, oh my god, dude.
Dude, season 1 is so good.
Immediately they make you hate him.
It's so good. He's so freaking evil from the time he's like a little boy.
And then they call him
Wait,
out
why
on it.
don't
He's
you
like holding
hate
his
him?
arm. He's like, no, I'm innocent. I don't know what he's talking about. He's lying. This
Yeah,
motherfucker.
I love season 1, Dio.
I've only seen season 1.
Season 2 is even better. It's my favorite. And then after season 2, it goes downhill real fast. It's like it's not even going downhill. It just falls off a cliff.
Damn.
Jay's completely incorrect about that. The stands are great.
Season 2 is freaking goated though.
Oh, yeah,
it
is
has
it?
the
Like
best
bisexual,
JoJo.
Yeah, aren't
It's
they
fun as
basically
hell.
like personas?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's like basically.
It's
Part
straight up,
Pokemon,
I
part
need to
Persona,
unlock it.
and
This-
every episode's just like Monster of the Week bullshit.
really.
I want to say I know what the next slab is, or stone, or you want to call it. So
I got a slab for you.
nice. Does
Well,
anybody
you
have?
can't say that. I
Does-
give you permission.
Does anybody have a chain lock key or some sort of key? Because it looks like it goes to there's a locked
Nope.
door on the roof. Okay.
I've been carrying around the unicorn medal this whole time, but I don't know where to use it, and that's all I
Hey,
got.
what's up? What's up, pimp?
On the
Oh
unicorn.
shit! Nice. I didn't know you guys were even near us.
Well, we kind of fully explored the area we were at, so we came back here.
Well, there's a bit more, I guess, this path I can look
I wonder if
at.
there's a way to put this fire out over here.
Raleigh. I take a bucket and fill it. It's a large boiler.
Jake, can you go down there and see if it's safe?
I just tried. It won't let you.
All right, I'm going back in.
All right, well, we gotta go back to the
You
parking
tried
garage,
shooting
right?
this thing?
No.
Yeah.
Should I?
The parking garage is where we need to
It
be.
says it's locked.
Cyber and I broke another door by just shooting it a bunch.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it? I mean, I have a little bit of it.
Cyber just shot it. It didn't look like it did anything.
Because it wiggles a bit, right?
Yeah, that one did not. Wriggle like a fish,
Oh shit!
girl.
Yeah. What up, Daniel? How you doing? Oh, did we go in here yet?
I did earlier, but we can
You're
go again.
stupid. So I'm gonna look.
Isn't this where we came from?
Probably.
This is how we got upstairs.
Yeah, actually, I fucked up.
this is
I went the
Yeah,
wrong
but I
way.
went the other way.
I like how. Yeah, I called you stupid.
Oh
I'm the one that
yeah,
goes
that's
wrong
where the
way.
other safe is.
Oh yeah.
Where Paul's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pokestar. Oh, nice. He's getting started on his Pokemon journey.
Oh god.
What up, Ezio? Ben, am I still to create the perfect system?
Wait, is that Ezio Auditore?
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Assassin's
Right
Creed
here.
is this guy's favorite game series.
Assassin's Creed freaking rules. Oh, this is literally the room I started in. I already pushed that. That's why
I
you
have the
can't push it any
combination.
further.
Thanks for showing me this. I have the combination.
Why can't I climb
Oh,
it?
it's just back on the other side. Okay, if you guys wait here, I pushed
5,
it that
6,
way. We gotta
3,
push
2.
it back this way now. I'll go get it.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, but cool. Oh, I can't reach it. Okay.
I will push that thing so you can reach that, but you're gonna have to give me a minute to run around and move it.
Where's your head
I have to go all the way back to that. Basically, I have to
wait here.
circle the whole freaking building. It'll take a bit.
I'll wait here.
What are you doing?
I know the combination. No, it's a thing. So I read the memo that I think. Did anybody else read that memo that has the fucking
Yeah, I read it
combinations
too.
on it? Okay. Because the character won't even attempt it if you haven't read it.
Help me.
Help me.
Time to go. Time to go.
Not in that voice you do.
Thank you. Go.
I
the
know the
combination.
combination.
You know what? Banned. No, I was kidding. Hey, wait, I have a small battery with high output capacity. Does anybody see something where I can
Go.
put a battery?
Go.
You could hook it up to these electrical nipple clamps I got.
Nice. I thought you were gonna say hook it up to these
Time
nuts.
to go. Time to go.
Same general idea, I'd say.
Good.
Jay, if you're gonna push Shatter to be able to reach
Help me.
what you want, you're going to need to push him pretty high. Maybe stand on the steps so you're pushing him.
We're gonna need multiple step stools.
I hate you guys.
Oh god, it's poison gas. I'm at 75% now.
Oh shit.
Help.
Do you have one of the maybe one of us should have gone with you.
I ain't got shit.
What if you leave?
I'm almost there to where I can push that box over.
Okay.
I'm back to the main lobby. I literally have to circle the whole stupid building to
Sounds
get there.
good.
I think maybe.
Don't die. You're a doctor.
Oh.
That's right.
And we need you.
Help.
Hey, why can't we yell help and Mark?
Thanks.
I know, dude. File one's
Literally
better.
the only reason I wanted to play this game.
File one is a better game.
Time to go. Go. Time to go.
Or is it?
Move it or lose it. Time to go.
Although, who was that one character Cyber played that was like,
Time to
she?
go.
I think he. Oh yeah, that was pretty funny.
Oh, Cisco.
Go. Time to go.
Thank you for redeeming this again.
No problem.
Oh, maybe I won't push it then, asshole. Maybe I'll just stand here and not help.
It's
Time to
so
go.
good.
It's up to
One of
you.
you guys come push this box
Time to
over.
go.
It's not worth it. Hey, what? Thank you for the biddies.
I don't
The
know. I'm
unicorn
not sure I'm
biddies.
in the mood.
All right, quick, somebody get him in the mood.
Maybe I'll just chill over here. Suck it. Suck it.
Oh
Do
my
it.
god.
Oh,
Shit, another
Hold up,
100
hold up.
biddies. Thanks, man. And their corgis too.
Help.
Shit,
Hold on,
I'm
I
getting
got
cheered.
this.
Thanks. Let's
No,
move.
what's happening?
Let's move.
He said to suck it.
Help. Thanks.
I'm a doctor.
What
You guys move out the way. I
button?
can't push the box
Is that
because
what
there's
it is? Okay,
people in the
everybody
way.
get the fuck out of the
Help
way.
me, please.
Oh, he's right. Oh wait, there's something up there too. Can you get that?
Yeah, that's. I already got that. Yes.
Okay. Was it the ruby one? Wait, don't push it back.
Dude, it's okay to push it. Will you get the hell out of the way?
Yeah. Everybody, come here. Don't push it back, please.
Guys,
Also,
get the hell out
we
of the
literally
way.
have a time limit also, so.
Get away from the box.
We're moving. Just go.
Me.
Yeah.
There. That hopefully is that enough?
Yeah. All right, and then what was it? It's
Still
like
not
5,
enough.
6. Fuck you. 5, 6, 3, 2. Oh,
6,
there's
7?
an A written on it. 6, 7. There's an A written on it. So this isn't the fucking
Damn it.
What combination lock uses numbers?
Good.
Yeah, that's like what did the file say?
Thank you for the.
It says emergency orders A. Like so, you would think
Have
that
a Merry
A
Christmas.
maybe would be. Oh wait, no, that's a different thing. I was looking at the wrong one. Police
Have a Merry
notice,
Christmas.
station memo.
Thank you, Ezio. I hope
Station
you have a
memo.
Merry Christmas too. Turn the Christmas cheer to everyone. Yeah, I don't know where the fuck that goes. Main hall with the station.
Yeah, the one we have is for the East office and the second floor Stars office. I guess neither of those are this
Where
room.
the fuck's the Stars office? Let's go there.
It's locked. I've tried. I tried every
Oh,
door to
shit.
get over there.
Whoa.
I couldn't
So we gotta go do the garage down in the basement.
Yes,
We did, dude. Cyber and I
Yes,
did that.
queen. Yes, queen.
Unless we missed something down there.
I think we checked every room there.
This game sucks. No.
We were pretty thorough.
Not thorough enough. What are you up to tonight, Ezio?
Thoroughbred?
How was you?
We went down there, we went in the kennels, we went to the jail area, we talked to what's his name, the journalist guy, and he's basically like, I dropped something in the police station, but he didn't give any hint to what it is he dropped, if we're supposed to like bring it to him or something.
There's also that desk with the code too.
This is pretty rad. I didn't realize Twitch was popping with all these effects. Well, now you know.
But like, so we can't go through the library to get to the Stars office, and I don't think we can't go through like the police room where Officer Blackman dies, and we can't go through the room where Joey started. Like every way to get to
Everything's
that
locked.
side is locked.
Also, his name's Officer Token, okay?
Oh, sorry.
Don't be a bigot.
But yeah, they're all locked. There's no way over there that I know of.
Which kind of effects? I want all the things I added, the channel point redeems. I have a lot. Oh, this is rooftop.
I mean, we do have kind of a little shortcut back downstairs if you want, Paul. You can go through out the front door and get there pretty quick with a shortcut Cyber and I opened.
I don't know where to go. Yeah, because we gotta get to the Stars office. We gotta get on like was that the East Wing? Officer Blackman, what shade is he? He's a solid.
Joey, what was that code?
It's
You have to read the thing yourself.
yeah, which I think
I
he
think.
did. Well, you also have the document too, but it's 5632. Try that. Hey, Sir Pizza Time. What up, Sir Pizza Time? I've seen you. It says first time chat. I swear I've seen you before.
No, that didn't work.
Who sent you? Never got to play
It's
online.
got servers right now, Sir Pizza Time. You can get some bros and play it.
It's pretty easy to set up.
It is.
And I'm stupid, so if I could do it, you could do it.
Yeah, that's true. Joey's really freaking stupid.
You rated me before? Okay. What were you playing? Do you remember? Was it a Resident Evil?
Was it Butt Night?
No. I would never stream that.
Oh crap, there's zombies trying to come in my room. Get out! Oh shit.
I think Jack and Daxter. Okay. Well, welcome in, Sir Pizza.
That's kind of based, honestly.
I love pizza. I want pizza, in fact.
Hell, there's a zombie biting me. No one told me there were zombies in this game.
Yeah, maybe I was playing like actually I might have been playing Sly Cooper.
It wasn't Butt Night?
No, it was probably not Butt Night.
Do it.
Was it Sword
Joey,
and
in your
Sandals too?
expert opinion, what was the sexiest game in the Resident Evil franchise?
The
Oh, that's a
sexiest
good
game?
question.
Yeah, the sexiest game.
Code Veronica?
No. Maybe
Claire's pretty sexy early in Code Veronica.
the TV show. That's funny. You shut your mouth. We don't ever talk about that on this channel, okay?
I'm probably gonna die, guys.
Where are you?
Just so you know. No, I'm at 90%. So.
Oh shit. Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah, dude, we searched the whole damn basement.
I'm at reception desk now.
Yeah, I saw you.
I went back to the basement. Well, you know what? Did anyone ever check the autopsy room? I haven't been in there. Is there anything in there?
I've been in there. That's where we found the
Yeah, we got the emeralds
yeah.
from Sonic.
I think that's the only room I hadn't personally checked down here.
Son of a bitch. Okay, sexiest Resident Evil. Ezio says the TV show.
I've never seen it and never will.
It's not good. It's not good. We ordered more breadsticks.
Keep us updated, dude. On the
What?
breadstick situation.
I don't understand. What's the context of this?
Did he order more
How many
breadsticks?
breadsticks? Yeah, but how many?
Yeah, that's an
Was
important
it enough
question.
for
How
all
many?
of us?
How many breadsticks? I'm surprised you have enough points for all these. I didn't know it did that. Yeah, all those are just funny little things I have added. Yeah, I don't know how I got
I
them.
found a secret file. What the hell is this?
Ooh, read it. Maybe it has the combination for the A thing.
Trying, but I'm
Because-
being attacked by zombies.
Cyber, don't die.
Don't bite me, you motherfucker.
You're not
Not going.
allowed. You're not allowed to die. Because that's what Wesker says. Oh,
Now you have my permission to die.
fucking
If he
breadsticks.
dies, he dies.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I was locked up here. Dang, what the fuck do we do?
Oh, this is the file that Ben dropped. Ew, I gotta bring this to Uncle Ben in the jail. Okay, I'm onto something here.
Ben's in the jail? Wait,
Yeah.
Ben's here? Ben's in the game?
He's in the jail. I told you we talked to him in the jail.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
remember
And
that.
he said he dropped something, but he didn't say where. I came across
Oh,
something
I
he
heard you
dropped.
saying that.
Yeah,
I
girl.
didn't realize. I thought it was just an NPC. Now,
well,
how do you get
he
to
is
the
an
jail?
NPC.
You know what I mean?
On
I
the way
didn't
back
realize it was a
Hey,
named
hey,
guy.
hey, you guys do what
It's in
you
the
gotta do.
it's in
I'm
the
trying to get
basement
this, girl's
by
number
the
over.
kennels through the parking garage.
I haven't gone there yet. Oh shit, Susie Q just subscribed. Thank you for the sub.
Fucking
Oh, thank you for the
no
gift, man.
more
Appreciate
gas.
that.
Oh,
Wait, is that you?
I'm getting gassed to death. Okay, I'm at like 93% now.
Fuck, we're gonna fail.
94%.
I'm at
90,
90%.
I hit 96% because when I tried to leave that room, a zombie busted through the door and
Oh,
knocked
that's
me back.
fucked. Mary,
I'm gonna get the thing to Ben before I die, though.
Yeah, do
And see
that.
what happens.
Go this way. Go this way.
Wait, this way? Is this
Follow
where it's
me.
at? Okay.
Yeah. This was the way the
Yeah,
back room.
Do you know the way?
You know the way. Thank you for the gift sub, man. Appreciate that. Oh, there's a kniff out here.
All right. It's gonna be up to you bitches soon. All right, what do you got for me, Ben? I got your shit. Give him the secret file, yes. Thanks, take this as a reward. I got the sapphire plate!
Fuck yeah! But you were what, 90 something?
Almost 97%.
Shit. Can
Just
you make
make
it back
sure
in
you
time?
get it placed before you die.
There's a battery.
I don't know if I can make it
one.
that far, or should I just drop it in the hallway before I die?
Oh,
so I
yeah,
don't.
I
Here, come to
guess.
you.
Where are
We're
you?
almost there.
I'm in the basement by the jail.
Oh shit, this is where we enter? Okay, nice.
Yeah, Joey and I are almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. Gas to death is...
That's a zombie! I thought it was you guys, because you said you're almost there. Damn it.
We're at the underground parking.
All right, that's
Oh,
where I'm.
God,
Just stay in
it's
that room.
gas.
If you die,
Oh, someone
it's
ungas
gas,
it.
gas.
Ungas
I
it.
can do it right now. I do.
I'm fucking dead, Joey.
Cool.
Oh god.
Dude, get off, zombie.
Don't worry.
Present it. For you
All right,
turn.
here you go. I am about to go zombified very soon.
Thanks, pimp.
Here, do you want ammo?
Yes.
52 bullets.
Shit, Negro. that's all
Somebody,
you had
one of you might want to
say.
take. One of you might want to take this unicorn medal as well.
Yeah, take it, Joey. I'm about to die.
Fuck. Shit.
Complete the mission.
All right. Oh, I know
go.
where battery's at if I need it. Is that what this is?
I
Actually,
can try-
wait, is
I
this
can
a- This do?
Want me to try to use the battery here?
No, it doesn't work. We have to do. This is connected to the main hall or some
Is
shit.
Paul
So
already dead? Where's Paul?
Paul's just
Ow!
holy shit!
Now I'm dead.
That actually might have killed him.
Ow, that hurt a lot. Here, Paul, take this battery. Take the battery, idiot, just in case.
Where are you? Where is it?
I'm literally right next to you presenting the battery. I'm at 99%. You better take it.
Oh, I didn't know you were presenting. Sorry.
I'm about to be a zombie.
Don't attack
And
me.
you guys almost killed me before I even turned.
I didn't do shit.
Explosion. That's it, you fuckers.
Shit.
I didn't do fucking shit. What is this?
All right, come back
Alright.
this way
Wait, this way? What's this way?
before I die.
No, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, it's the
where are
shortcut
you?
that Cyber and I found earlier.
Oh,
Behind
okay,
this-
you're right. The
Yeah.
same. This way, yeah.
Wait, tell
No,
my
behind
wife
the car, behind the car.
that I was a
The car.
doctor, damn it.
Behind the car. Wait, where is it?
Wait, don't leave.
Behind the red
Stay
car.
and kill me. I don't want to be a zombie, man.
All right, good
I
luck.
don't want to be a no. Come back.
Let's get out of
Son of a
here.
bitch.
Get out.
You guys are welcome for carrying you
All right,
on this mission.
I'll kill you right now. Do you really want it? I can kill you.
No, I don't care.
Because I think it's a few minutes that you'll be a zombie.
Yeah, it
What's
doesn't
my phone
matter.
blowing up? What's going on?
That gas thing is annoying and I hate it.
Yeah, dude, that's the worst. It's so fast. So when Jay turns into a zombie, can you say, "What's up, my zomba"? Oh shit.
You can't say that on stream.
No, he said zomba, not
Yeah,
zomber.
if he said
It's okay.
zomber, that'd be worse.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I think
said
so.
head.
Don't use that. What? The Z word.
Fucking ghoul.
Wait, what's this?
You die in the game, you die for real.
Open the door for me.
Wait, what? Oh, because you're a zombie.
Open the door.
I got you.
Oh shit! Wait.
Oh man, it's only the bad players left. Maybe they'll lose.
No, we did it.
This is the first.
That's the end?
Or I don't know if this is the end.
That can't be the end.
It's probably not.
It'll take at least an hour to get through a space this narrow. Use this to
What?
keep in touch with me. It doesn't have much
Oh,
range,
I didn't even
but
get
the
a whole
signal
ass
should get
cutscene.
through if I'm
I
close
died
by.
as a
Same.
zombie.
You guys don't
Yep.
get to watch? Oh. I guess you
That
gotta
must
watch
be
stream.
the end because it just killed both of us. So you must be finishing. Damn,
How's it
dude.
gonna take an hour to get through a space that narrow? I don't understand.
Fuck. I
I
carried
don't think
and I
this,
died
I
right
don't
before
think
we
this is
ended
the
it.
end.
Maybe not.
Jay and I found the shortcut. You're welcome.
So now on the next one will be a better, faster unit, you know?
Suck my unit.
Faster unit for you.
Marvin! Marvin!
Maybe this is
Hey,
it.
you made it.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
We're gonna see Officer Blackman get bit.
Yeah, this is where we see it.
I'll pull the truck up to the front gate, so get everyone together there. I won't be able to keep that position long, so hurry up, okay?
Jay, would you say this game is woke because it has a black guy in it?
I'll contact you again later.
Yeah,
All right.
that's all it takes.
Be careful.
Wait, that's what a black guy looks like?
I don't know, Jay. He's the only black cop, so I feel like he earned that spot.
It could be. I don't think they were DEI hiring in 1998, to be honest. He's probably a great cop.
So maybe we have to go back to the garage? I don't
You
know
gotta
what
go
we
to
do
the
now.
main gate. No, she just said to go to the main gate. Were you
I
not
wasn't
listening
paying
to that?
attention. I was listening to you guys.
God.
Stop yelling at me! I'll come.
Told you it's only the bad players left. Cyber and I would have already beat this.
Probably.
We got
You gotta
fucking
hurry.
Yoko.
I'm at like
We dragged you down.
40%
We got
infection.
fucking Yoko Ono and fucking Carl.
Oh yeah, he just got bit. And Carl. Film A. Oh shit. Oh shit. If we find the and there's a key here. Can you pick up this padlock? Oh, this goes to the roof, dude.
Okay.
I would drop one of your miniguns. Why do you have two guns? Anyway, this way I think.
It just, with all this space in the inventory, it seemed better to just pick up multiple guns rather than carrying ammo boxes. You gotta
guess.
reload that way.
Why of all the names is his name Blackman? It's not. It's Marvin Branagh, but that's funny. I think it's this way.
I'm following you. I don't know my way around this place.
I think it's this way. before we turn.
Wait a minute. So Officer Blackman just had that key the whole time. All of this was just so he could die and we could steal his shit.
Not dead.
Seems like it. Well, he got bit and he dropped a bunch of shit. Also, if we can,
You just robbed him. He was sleeping.
Is it through the office, or is it this way, right?
So I just stopped and equip a different gun so I'd have ammo.
Combine. All right, it might not even be this way, but it might be.
Where are you trying to go? The roof?
Yeah. Is it this way?
Let me see where you are, and
Hallway.
I'll tell
We're in
you.
the hallway.
Hallway.
Oh no, it's not. You went the wrong way.
Have to go through the office.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it is this way, isn't it?
Nope. You went the wrong way.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yep.
Because that leads outside to the emergency stairs, and that takes me to the second floor.
Yes.
But that doesn't lead to the roof.
No, the way you're going did not lead outside of the emergency stairs.
Did it? Oh, all right. Oh, because that's the
No.
interrogation area. Sorry, honestly, the map between the original and the remake, and then I guess this is a little different too, is actually kind of fucking with me.
Nah, dude, this is
Yeah,
exactly the map from regular 2.
Well, the remake is different.
Yeah, the remake is.
Yeah, so I'm
but this
getting a little
is
tripped up.
exactly the map. Like, it's a little different because like there's some doors blocked that weren't in the original 2, but the map's the same.
Good. No, it's kind of like how, because I think you said it too, where you play original one and the remake one, and then it kind of fucks with you a little bit because the puzzles are a little
Yeah, it
different.
does.
Yeah, it's doing that to
Yeah.
me. It's this way, right?
Nope, behind you.
Damn it! All right. Thanks, guy in my head. Oh, this is the emergency stairwell. Oh, this is okay. Yeah. Oh, they got him.
Dude, is he sucking that guy's dick?
He is. Look at him.
That guy's not even a zombie. He's just like, now's my chance. They'll think I'm a zombie. I've been waiting.
I've been waiting to eat that fucking meat.
Now it's my chance.
It's like, no wonder Paul's always wanted a zombie outbreak to happen. Grr, I'm a zombie. Watch out.
Instead of brains, it's penis. Imagine Tarman. He's just like cock. Shoot! Oh my
Tarman
god!
is so freaking iconic. One of the greatest zombies ever.
Tarman is goated for sure.
Yeah. That one fucking scared me the most as a kid too.
Yeah,
Dude, same.
Tarman
Which is
freaked me
crazy
out.
because as an adult, it's hilarious. Like as a kid, you can't even tell it's a comedy. It's just like the scariest shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Scared the
one.
shit out of me
I
as
saw
a
one and
child.
2 back to back as a kid, and that's one of the times where I actually got nightmares from a movie.
Same. That's crazy that we all had that same experience. That movie probably bothered me more than like any other movie as a
This
kid.
one, gotta unlock it with the padlock. Thanks, bro.
Although I don't love 2. 2's just okay.
Two's fine. I think 2. What is this?
Two leaned
ammo.
more
Do you
into
want
the
some ammo?
comedy.
It
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
and there's aspects of 2 I love. I absolutely love that they brought back the same 2 bumbling actors to fuck
Yeah.
everything in. Like it's the same 2 guys being idiots that caused it all. That was
I
great.
do like in 2 the fucking
Wait,
one kid
What's
turns
the
into a zombie
fucking
though.
point
The
of
bully?
being
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, that's true.
Was all of this just for fucking wood? Wait, what? I'm so confused. Do I need plywood for something?
Yeah, I got a plywood board now.
You have one? Okay, we might need it to cross over or something. I'm not sure. What the fuck is the plywood for? Yeah.
Why couldn't we just hop that stupid little fence that's like 7 feet high?
Right. Actually, I don't think it's worth it. And what's this? What is that?
Film B?
I have film A. Did you get it?
No.
Oh.
I can't know. I just
Yeah.
don't by a bird.
So the film is on the same side of the.
Fucking bird.
You need to get to the side of the building where the STARS office is.
Yeah, we don't know
Do
how
the
to
film.
do that. We need the. Because we can develop it there. Fucking bird. Alright, fuck it, let's just go. I'm wasting
I
too
don't
much
know
ammo.
where you'd use those stupid boards, so I have no idea.
Yeah, there's boards, and then there's There was something else.
Like my first thought is board up windows, right? That's what you would generally think you would use them for in a Resident Evil game, but I don't think that's what you're gonna
I
do
think we
here.
have to use it to like cross over or something. Yoko, where you at? We're leaving.
Try to get the film.
Oh, I thought you did already. I'm sorry, dude.
No, those birds
My
were.
bad. I thought you did. Oh shit, I bailed on you. I'm sorry.
Damn, he had to go buy some cigarettes and milk.
I got Newports. You should be happy.
Feels
But, like,
dry.
All we got from that was
Oh
a
my
board. I still don't know
god, what's
we're
up?
doing.
It's dry. Feels moist when I'm around. Yeah, we're probably gonna fail this one.
I know, because Tyler and I are right there.
Honestly,
I'm in the waiting room.
The waiting room. Okay, I think the waiting room connects to the library, but it's probably locked or some bullshit. Wait, did I leave by accident? Oh shit, Marvin.
Oh, you're interrupting his goon sesh. You guys should give him some
Hey, hold on,
privacy.
hold on.
Lobby.
Did you say get to the front
You
lobby?
okay?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Did you say get to the front lobby?
Yeah, he said get to the front lobby, but I
Oh.
don't trust him. There's something about him that just didn't seem
Get
trustworthy.
to the front lobby. Bring your bikes.
Yeah, we should go. What's in here? What's this way? Oh yeah, that thing we can't open yet. Yeah, because you have to develop the film, and it'll give us the combination for that, and then probably gives us a key to something, you know?
Where are we gonna
Like I
develop
think,
the film?
well, it's on the other side. It's locked, but I think he's gonna unlock it for us right now. Maybe.
No, he's dead.
Dude, trust me, he's definitely not dead.
Yeah, he's in 2, and this is like a prequel to 2.
Yeah, he didn't die until like a third of the way through, too.
He's dead. He just wants his keys back. We
He's
stole
dead.
his shit.
He's dead, Dave.
He changes from a black man to a gray man, and then you have to kill him.
Gray man. Ah!
Champion of the night, man.
Ah! Oh, silkin'. It's fucked up. Well, we got our zombies. That's really not good. Does we have a grenade?
There's canisters all around there. Shoot those.
I usually just let the security guard fight the zombies and run past them.
They got him.
Yeah, they all dead.
Ah! Open
Yeah,
the fucking door!
dry.
Open the fucking door! Oh, we can't open it.
No, I disconnected.
Oh
I
shit!
disconnected.
No!
Ah,
What the fuck?
sucks.
No!
That sounds like a skill issue.
What the fuck? This is so fucked up. This is
That wouldn't
fucked up.
happen to Jay and I.
Yeah, for real.
Is it locked? Marvin, you set us up, you bitch. Yoko, no.
Marvin gets
No,
the
they
last
can't hurt
laugh.
me. I'm invincible.
You're not supposed to say. You're supposed to go to the title card. Oh shit! It's empty. That's why. Ah, fuck.
There's another way in. You can just go under the stairs and crawl through the
it
little
probably, it
hole.
probably wants me to do that. Ah!
Go out the gate. It's open. You can leave.
Actually? No. What the fuck is going on? I'm like
Yeah,
trapped.
Joey's just gonna get killed.
Yeah, probably. And I have to reload. Fuck!
Uh.
Oh wait, what's over here? No! Fuck! It's good.
Man, if only you were good at video games.
Your hard carries are dead.
He's losing a fight to a single zombie right now.
No, I need an ammo. Everything's barricaded now. Let me see. It's like it's not letting me go. It's like an invisible wall. This game is fucking. It's either bugging or something.
Try the door again.
It's probably
I'll try
your
to-
network. That's probably why.
Oh, it could be
this
your
is
network.
fucked
That's
up.
actually
No.
possible, yeah. How embarrassing.
No, dude, the game is fucking up. I don't know what to do.
Sure it is.
He
Yeah,
said
man,
get to
fight
the
'em
front
off.
door, and he locked us out with all the zombies. He fucking killed us. Marvin, you fucking killed us.
Hilarious.
Now it blows up.
Well, all right, let's see you turn it around and win this one.
I'll try.
I had the blink. What's he gonna do now?
Not quite. Oh, he's making out with that guy instead.
I have to go.
Try to suck his dick.
You ever been to Bosnia?
When you're done making out with your boyfriend.
So you guys want to go scam some chicks later or something? Fucking bitch. I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dead.
Oof.
Yeah.
Did we win?
Couldn't be me.
No. Dry says he blames Jay and Paul for connection issues.
No, he blames me for Paul's connection issues, but I kind of think Paul might be right that it was actually Joey's connection issue.
I'm
It's
not even
his
sure it's
lobby.
connection issues. I'm sorry. I didn't plan for this. Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like the lobby itself broke when you couldn't go through any doors or anything.
Yeah. What the fuck's up with that? Like,
So I think it was a network issue on your end, most likely. I mean, it could be the server's end. Maybe it wasn't you specifically, but I think it was an issue with the connection overall. It broke.
We could have done this. Now I'm trapped as a zombie. I don't know what this fucking plank is for. There's more zombies coming in. There's invisible walls now. So like I said, like I couldn't go out. It wouldn't let me. And then this place right here, south, where it's like just a fucking move.
We fucking suck. We
Right,
lost on easy.
I should be able to go to park. I mean, this game isn't easy, and I guess it did just get very difficult all of a sudden. Also, I might just.
I mean, when we play on easy, we fucking breeze through it, but this level fucking shit on us.
We kind of got boned by that stupid gas
it's the
mechanic.
gas. It's the gas.
That mechanic sucks.
Yeah.
I was only at 40% infection. I had 2 heals left and a full health, so I wasn't gonna die.
And then it looked like you froze. What? Like, did you freeze? Is that what happened?
No, it literally just said network disconnected, and it kicked me out.
Lame. What are you eating?
Dicks.
Doritos and dicks,
Nice.
extra crunchy dicks.
When did Frito-Lay release that?
It's Canadian.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, can I at least die? Kill me. I'm gonna quit.
This is your
Yeah.
karma for not killing me.
Oh, it is. How long did it take for you to, or did you just have to just quit?
Well, it ended it for Cyber and I as soon as you guys put the last thing in there and that
That's
cutscene
right.
started. Just immediately died.
Now we know where all those are, you know, and then.
I mean, I do. You guys didn't find most of them.
That's a good point.
Well, we saw some of them.
We didn't find shit.
I found this many. On easy, yeah, that is embarrassing. You guys want to try again? If not, it's no worries.
Not really.
It's
We're
okay.
all tired anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I don't dislike the level, but I just wasn't really feeling it tonight in the first place.
Yeah, to be honest,
Yeah,
I wasn't either.
it was
but I
a good
didn't-
level. I just don't like playing with Jay.
Makes sense.
I didn't want to bail on you guys tomorrow, and I was like, let me at least see if they're available tonight.
I mean, to be fair, we usually expect you to bail, so we wouldn't be too upset.
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
It's more of a pleasant surprise when it's like, damn, Joey didn't bail this week.
No, I got a lot going on. I also have to study for this drone stuff that I'm working on.
Drone
For
stuff.
drum stuff?
Work is paying for some of us to get drone certified, and then they bought a pretty expensive production level drone. It was like 5,000. But yeah.
So Joey's getting enlisted for WW3.
Well, no, you're right. No, there's FAA regulations and shit you have to do now because I guess too many people ruin the fun.
Yeah.
And I have a deadline, so I'm studying too. And I try to do as much as I can at work, but then I also have stuff to do. Howie Pelter Snatch 69. Dude, I fucking love that. Or Felter. I said Pelter. This one was fun to make. But yeah, I guess we can pick this up again next week, and then maybe I'll just play.
Yeah, I wanted to make this exact one, but it was a lot of
I
work.
fucking love that.
Yeah, it came up, Dry mentioned it, and he said you won't do it. So I was like, hey, remind me, I'll do
I
it.
was trying, like, I downloaded the clips and stuff, and then I was like, God, this is gonna take a while, and I just never finished it.
I just did actual tracking, dude. I was actually looking into deepfaking, but I was like, oh, this isn't as easy as I thought it was. There's like shady software I have to download, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable, so let me just track it and make it look funny.
Yeah, deepfake shit I would be uncomfortable getting that as well.
Yeah, also, I would want it to be a surprise, and I would want your consent before I did that, so I was like, there's no point. Yeah. Joey, make one, but with the mirror part cut out. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't get it.
I'm retarded?
Oh, so it shows the screen, or?
So it's just me from the beginning saying I'm retarded?
Or no, it's... That way Jay can use it and the mirror is Jay's cam. Oh. I can put it over you. That's actually funny. Okay, I get it.
That's actually not a bad idea. Just have it, my webcam behind it.
I mean, I already have it like tracked. I can mask out the mirror if you want. And it just opens the door.
That's not terrible. I don't know if it look right though.
You have to line it up perfectly. You guys are... I haven't heard you laugh like that in a while.
I'm fucking dying.
You'd have to play the part. Yeah, he would.
He plays the part every day.
He's never not playing it. Oh, that was good. Keep an eye on PS2 and emulation problems. I don't know, but yeah, that sucks that it kind of fucked us at the end. Connection to chat. Oh wait, maybe I am having fucking network issues right now.
Yeah. Uh-oh, did someone not pay his internet bill?
No, I did. I mean, I'm talking to you. I'm still connected. Maybe are they throttling? Am I being throttled? This is. That redeem made it to where I'm now broke. I have no more these nuts coins. Ah, sorry.
It's all right, you boy. I got you.
No, I'm still live.
That was me on Muffins. I spent so many points on that stupid song on Muffin stream. I'm totally out of points. I used to have so many.
Which song?
Tutti Frutti Lover.
Yeah, I must have redeemed Tutti Frutti Lover like 15 times.
Very nice.
I'm retarded?
Alright, so should I play Grandia, or I don't know? You guys are probably all going to bed anyway, huh?
I'm not going to bed, but I'm going to kind of zone out and chill.
I got that goon session that I delayed for like 2 hours. I got to get back to.
Okay, yeah, that's important. That's top priority. I don't even blame you. In fact,
I was gonna stay on your VC though while I'm gooning. If you want to play Grandia, just narrate my goon session.
Oh damn, it froze. Hang on.
But damn, that dude's dick is huge.
I was gonna say, you know what? You need to add that. It's
What?
like something Jay would say.
That's woke. And then something about DI. Hold on, where is it? Let me what the fuck is it? Hang on, let me just mix it up. There it is. I have to refresh cache or whatever. Y'all the real ones. Alright, so I'm gonna go be right back. I'm gonna go I guess get my Switch controller. Oh, and he's gonna try to break it. Here, hold on, just wait and then I'll okay. It'd be cool if we could get someone with Down syndrome to cosplay as Jay and have them say something Jay would say. Yeah.
I mean, we see it every day.
All right, hold on. Let me go to be right back. Stop redeeming shit for a second. I'll do the Final Fantasy one. I like it. Where is it?
I do like the Final Fantasy one.
Is the audio still live?
Yeah.
Because I always feel like this BRB screen would be better if we just talk shit about Joey the whole time he's taking a shit.
I just love Final Fantasy VII's music. It's so good. Mystery Science. Dude, Mystery Science Theater is so good. MST3K.
That's the rest of the stream. Joey's gonna play Grandia, and we're gonna narrate it like MSTK style.
I'm not really intending to stay in VC. We're not sending you
like
butthole
we all
pics,
do the
Dry.
go-to
Nice
pose.
try.
It's just the silhouettes of the go-to pose from all of us down the bottom of the screen.
All right, it should be connected. Let me see. Oof. Or we could do the Fortnite. Oof. Or that's not Fortnite. What game is that?
Roblox.
Roblox. Thank you. Yay, it's connected. Cool.
The Switch. Oh, look, another nin toddler gonna play some Switch.
Like Mystery Science Theater, but with retards. That would be good. But we need some pics of you guys from behind. I'll show you a pic from behind. And Joe wouldn't actually be able to hear you. Silhouettes of the lemon party.
Meat spin.
There you go. Now you're talking. Legato.
Isn't Meat Spin still live? I think I looked that up when it came up like a month or two ago, and I checked, and I think that site is literally still live. Someone is still paying the like domain hosting fees for Meat Spin like 20 years later.
Joey, can you check live on stream?
It is.
For research
No.
purposes.
It's still live. I swear, I looked it up not long ago. I'll check again right now.
Drop it in the Discord so we can also.
I mean, you can just look at meatspin.com, right?
Too much work.
I think that's the site, isn't it? Yeah, it's just meatspin.com. It's still live. Watching it right now.
Funny.
It's one of my favorite shows.
All right, guys. Speaking of Meek Spin, I gotta get back to Goonin, so.
All right, enjoy
Did you
your
know Nostradamus predicted that?
enjoy your goon.
Nostradamus predicted Meat Spin.
No, that Paul was gonna go beat his meat.
Oh yeah.
It was me, but I go by Negrodamus.
For some reason, the audio's not
Almoni?
working. I can't hear the song. That's like
Is
the
that
best
you?
part.
Oh, Meatspin? Wait, are you actually watching Meatspin?
Yeah, I pulled it up to make sure it's still live.
Yeah, it's still alive. Jay's pretending like he doesn't fall asleep to that site. Fall asleep? That's
Audio,
my alarm to
audio's
wake up.
not working. Maybe it's a Brave issue. I use Brave as my main browser.
It's Linux. All right, let's
Linux.
see.
I think Linux plays audio.
I don't know. All your issues seem to stem from Linux. I'm just. Go. Got the window.
One bought the domain for Meat Spin, and it was a butcher shop. I mean, it'd be kind of funny. I don't think that'd be very good marketing because there's like 4 people that even remember Meat Spin's a thing. I'm honestly surprised that person's still hosting it.
Just so you guys
I mean, I
know,
know you can host dirt cheap, but still.
I think I'm the only person streaming this game right now.
Nice.
Just looking at the views. There might be one more. So I have 5 here. A butcher shop where he has a DJ. Imagine if someone bought the domain from Meatspin and it was a butcher shop. Nice.
All right. Well, I'm gonna watch stream, but I'm gonna jump off. VC.
All right.
Have fun with what's it called? Grandia. I wanted to call it Disgaea. I was like, that's not right.
I kind of want to play that too. I never played them.
I have them, and they're cool and they're entertaining, but they're so grindy. Like that's literally like the point is just like dozens of hours of grinding.
I'm retarded?
I'm glad you guys like this redeem.
Fucking great.
What are you up to tonight, Cyber? Here, let me remove Jay from the title.
I was about to get off too.
Oh, yeah, go for it. Fine, everybody just fuck off. No, it's all good. I'm only gonna play this for like maybe an hour. To be honest, randomly I got into Call of Duty campaigns. I played a few over the weekend, and I got the remake of Battlefield or Modern Warfare 1, so I kind of want to play that. Oh, you went quiet. What?
I said, oh yeah?
Yeah. I mean, not online.
You wanna do
Just the
You want to do Modern Warfare 4 campaign on the hardest mode so you get the fucking airplane mission?
Modern Warfare 4?
Yeah, back from the 360.
There is no Modern Warfare 4. Are you talking about Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Modern Warfare 1, but yeah. Do you have it on 360 or what do you got?
I ain't got it.
Oh, I have the remake. Modern Warfare, I'm in. Mile High Club achievement. Yeah, like and retarded.
I'm not retarded, okay? I'm not in the redeem.
That's funny. Got you there. You guys, I didn't think you'd like it this much. It was just gonna be a throwaway one that I just wanted to like do as a prank, but it might be here to stay for a while. Over toward the Rocky Mountains, there's a fence. Go back there. Let's go. Can future streams keep liking on VC giggle at that? Yeah, I'm down. Honestly, it's probably the best idea I've ever come up with. That and then the Yamcha. I feel like it needs follow J Conkers or something. That's the least I can do. Yeah, I can add that.
That's a shout out.
Yeah, yeah. I could. That's the least I can do. I can do that. My new username is pretty good. Your username is really good. How we Felter Snatch. Yamcha is great, but it's no longer visible. Yeah, neither's neither's JoJo.
But we'll always remember.
To be continued. I still need to play that. I'm so glad you liked it, Paul.
You haven't played Reach?
No, I never finished it. I started
What?
it. Yeah, I know.
I'll
It's the best
carry
one.
you. I'll carry you.
Don't
through
carry me. But I'll get to it after, because what? How many? 4 people could play that, right? Or is it 2? Or how many people play the campaign together?
I think 4.
I think 4 too. 4 as well. But yeah, I'm down one of these days for sure.
I don't know. I only usually run out 2.
We can just do 2. I was just curious. Oh wait, where did it say to go? Fuck. Why won't it read? Jay downloaded the Not Safe for Work channel before deleting it. Did he really? Probably going to New Parm. Or the Wrangell Mountains? Dom Ruins? Fine, I didn't want to play anyway. Oh wait, I was barely visible. My username. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if it's 4, you guys can play. Just
Yeah, it's
privated
up to
it
4.
and only have access. Nice. So we can look at all the no-nos, all he wants. Selfish. I'll do the Rocket League campaign. Just me and Jay. Is there a campaign?
For Rocket League?
No, there's not. He's fucking around.
No, there's lore.
No, there's not. I can tell
Yeah,
your
there is.
tone. What's the
I'm
lore?
not fucking with you right now.
What's the lore? You're like, I don't
You play
fuck
for
around about.
eggs.
You are fucking with me.
No,
Eggs?
I'm not. Yeah,
What's the setting? Is it like post-apocalyptic? What are the eggs for?
you play for the egg overlords.
You're fucking with me. Hold on. Rocket
Google it.
League egg people. What? Eggs come from a land known as Eggopolis. Eggopolis. They create and popularize the game of car soccer, and as their national pastime. Wait. So those are eggs in the audience? I thought you were fucking with me.
Yeah.
Baby cars come from the eggs. Yeah, Lycan isn't lying. That's funny. Unless it's like the Pepe lore thing.
Look, you learned something new today.
I
Rocket
did.
League had lore.
That wasn't a complete wash. Hell yeah.
And with that, I'm out.
Oh, peace out, dude.
Later.
Bye, bitch. I'll leave too. It's end stream. Rocket League is so dumb. I mean, I see the appeal. It's just not for me at all. She has water. This is true. Game for retards and autists named John. She has burn. I'll give Justin wind. I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Wind. Water. Heart. Go planet. Captain Planet. He's a hero. I'll give him thunder. And then I'll give Ina. She has fire, so I'll give her water. And then I'll give Sue earth. I like how the Research Closet has Beatles poster. Beatles, who cares? Oh yeah, you spelled it right the first time. It's like Beatles. Yeah, yeah. Hatchet. Iron Mace? No. Sue, you stick to range. That's all you get, bitch. Armor, though. Cowboy hat. Woo! Oh, I could trade? Oh, let's do it. Only for 1 point, but who knows? Beat this duke like a music beat. Yeah, yeah. More like lame Beatles. Dry, you don't like the Beatles? Wait, I feel like this is a thing. I feel like I've heard this before. So... Okay, I gotta go. Okay, I know where I'm going. But lore is that I hate them, so we gotta stick to it. Okay. Lore. Well, what? This is serious. Then you better listen up good while I tell you all about them. When you get a hold of a mana egg, it's the same as learning a new magic spell. Take your mana egg to a store that sells magic spells, and you can get yourself a new kind of spell. See the icon way back in the back of the shop? That's where you get the spells. Yeah. You know, take no exchanges. I'm telling you this for your own good. If you already got the strength to spare, you best get the fire spell first. You gonna bang that green-haired girl today? I mean, she's 15, so no. But Justin's 14, so maybe it's okay. The whole stuff isn't lore, that's just real life. Dry has a surprising little lore around here. What do you mean? I feel like I had the most lore. Who has the most lore? I think your boy has the most lore. You're 14, it's fine. What about lucky 90-year-old ladies? Yeah, that's worth. Also real. Yeah, I think this is where I gotta go. I'm looking. Did we do that yet? Ah, shit. Get him.
Oh, flame
I'm also like hungry. I still need to get Luco to make me some Jay and Lycan hentai. I heard Dry hates teeth when he gets a beige, so he only dates women with dentures. I mean, there's a benefit, you know? Oh, he's defending. I shouldn't have done that. A gummer do be nice. And I can only imagine. And then the old lady just takes out the limit configuration and she's like, I have such sights to show you. Takes her dentures out.
All right, we won.
Personally, I think the more teeth, the better. If I'm not bleeding, she ain't trying. Jay tells the girls, treat it like jerky. Yeah, this is probably gonna be a. I mean, I've been live for an hour and a half. I might hit like roughly 2 hours, maybe 2.5. But this is probably gonna be a shorter stream tonight. I'm actually tired. In hindsight, maybe we should have just waited. But oh, it was nice to at least get like familiar with that level in Outbreak. And like I said, I'm trying to stream regularly again. Oh, nice. I don't know, I usually tell girls I'm on my period. And they usually say, but Uncle Jay was Gucky? And the mom say, leave before I call the cops. Jay conquers. I like that episode of SpongeBob where he eats a chocolate bar and just scraping the chocolate off the shavings with his teeth. Yeah, I like that. I know the exact one. I think they usually tell Jay $40 an hour gets me to pretend to be a woman, but it's 60 for the jerky treatment. It's like, name your price. Do you take? All right. You take a check. $2 for an hour? That's like $1. Right? It's like after a minute, you're like, all right, well, want to see my Shin Megami Tensei collection? You ever see that video of the video of that make that? Hold on, wait, what? You see that video of that make that gets asked for $1 million? Would you? No. And before he can finish the sentence, the man goes, "I'll do it." Jay's like, but they paused my food stamps, so would you sell for lightly used DVDs? So relatable. Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that worked out.
What a cinch.
Dang. I should, you know, I could avoid these fights. $6 an hour, that's like 27 whatchamacallit candy bars an hour. What? Did you do the math on that or something? No, I'm so confused. Did you take into account sales tax? If I was a millionaire, I'd offer to pay $1 million to whoever did the most demeaning thing on live stream and just watch people try to one up. I'll show butthole. Would that get me the $1 million? Ooh, shockwave. Oh wait, is this one person or is this multiple? Oh yeah. Owl's range, right? Or is it single? Because I think this one can hit multiple people. I swear, but probably not. What's she got? Oh, burn flame. Honestly, it's probably not even worth it. I'm probably just wasting my magic. Die! Trimble is unlikely to win it. What if I recreate the JoJo to be continued on stream? Have you beat? You gotta eat shit. That's how you win, Joey. Oh yeah, no, I'm good. Showing Bowl is so tame. Yeah, I wouldn't eat shit for $1 million. How much shit? No. That's pretty gnarly. I would. $8 million. Easiest million ever made. Would you go full Black Mirror and fucking pick on TV for $1 million? No. No. That's gnarly, dude.
All right, we won.
That first episode is insane. would totally fuck me on TV. Oh. Fuck. Diabolical. Easiest million ever. Fuck. That's pretty good. If you could choose to watch a TV show for the first time again, what show? Ooh. Ooh, that's a good question, dude. Honestly, fuck. Probably like, I would honestly say maybe like Supernatural or like the first season of Heroes. First and maybe second season of Heroes if I could. Twin Peaks. I never actually finished Twin Peaks. Netflix hit show Resident Evil. Why even ask? Listen here, you son of a bitch. Think you're so fucking funny, huh? You're still a watch party. It's like my initiation into my gang. Instead of getting jumped in, you have to spend 10 hours watching that piece of shit show. Back to back. Can you imagine though if Joey magically forgot it and he was so excited to find out it exists? Oh, if I just lost all memory of the show altogether? Well, my memory's shit anyway, so it could happen. We could all watch a soul leave his body in real time. Dude, I was so fucking excited for that show. Actually, One Piece. You can live vicariously through me as I watch it for the first time. How many episodes are they on now? Mine would be that space movie. Wait, did you say show or movie or just, hold on. What was the question? 'Cause that's a movie, I think. That don't count. Yeah, it's gotta be a TV show. Jay, you think you can get past the shit stages of One Piece? The shit stages of One Piece? That first arc is rough. When did it start? Early 2000s? 90s? It's not a 90s show, is it? I don't think of it as shit except a little filler. Beating is meh, but definitely not. I don't give a fuck, Joey. I'm watching it! Can't stop me. Oh shit, I forgot. Fuck! That's right. Actually, I have to end stream. I made plans. Alright, let me finish this. Fuck. Actually, I just won't turn it off. I won't save. I'll just leave it asleep. But I have to end stream. King of the Hill. Dude, that's a good choice too. Sorry guys. What was that Japanese show where the gay guy had to blow a straight guy and make him come to win? What the fuck are you talking about? About the average glory hole? What double fruit would you choose to eat if you had to choose one? Double fruit. Oh, I don't know enough about the show to answer that question. But let's see who's live first of all. Sorry guys. I totally forgot about that. I told a friend because I'm getting sushi with friends right now. Cum fruit. This was a real show on Japanese TV. They put it on a curtain around the guy's lower half. Are you sure it's not just like porn? I know they got like some porn that they stage as like a game show. It's probably just porn. Wait, before you write out, can we watch the Christian Bale meltdown video? There's no video. It's just audio, isn't it? But I'll let you guys listen to it. Here, let me turn this shit off. It's really loud. Yeah, let me text them back and be like, yeah, I'll be there in like 15-ish, maybe 20. How long is the video, do you know? No! That's hentai. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to reply real quick. We've all seen it. Give me some sushi while you're out. Okay, I got you. Just forget the video. All right. Well, sorry. I'll raid out though. Oh shit, there's behind the scenes for the new James Bond game. That looks good. But who is live? We got Brixie playing Repo with Deadwolf and Zara. We got, I'll probably raid them. We got Jade Infinite playing Breath of the Wild, Jay's favorite. We got Andy's playing Marvel Rivals. Deadwolf, Zara. Fantastic. Wow, everybody's playing Breath of the Wild. This is crazy. Sonia is playing Skyrim. Alright, we're gonna raid Brixie. I'm glad you guys like that one. All right. Sure did. Alright guys, I love you. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for playing with me. We'll pick that up again next week. I might stream tomorrow based on when I get home. That's probably gonna be like around like 9 or 10. And I know we like to play a little earlier with hey, what up, Bloody? I'm about to leave. Hey Bloody, we're grabbing sushi at Sumo if you want to go right now. Yeah, just as you show up, yeah. Miho. Later, boo. Later, guys. Oh yeah. did you see this? Sorry, Bloody. Fuck you, Bloody. Nice. All right, guys. Quantum Leap episode. Yeah. Dry gave me the idea. Are you streaming tonight, Bloody? Fuck you, Bloody. But yeah, we're going to Sumo right now to get some sushi. 10 out of 10. No. You're more than welcome to join. It's pretty late notice, I know, but I was also notified while streaming. All right, we're gonna raid Brixie. If you guys hang out there, cool. She's awesome. She's also playing. I'm good. It's late and enjoy. All right, we'll do. Raid's gonna happen in like 10 seconds anyway. Yeah, tell her Shat sent you, and have a great rest of your night. I might see you tomorrow, maybe Friday. Bye.